It's now 18 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now, the Tobago House of Assembly, the minority leader, that is Mr. Kelvon Morris, has raised some concerns over a trip to Grenada's Carnival for a 10-member group, allegedly costing over $200,000. Now, the THA Assemblyman and Assistant Secretary in the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transport, Mr. Kelvon Morris, joins us on Zoom to discuss some of these concerns. Mr. Morris, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And just one quick correction. I'm the minority leader and not the assistant secretary.
Minority leader of the THA.
Yes,
Are
yes,
you,
correct.
do you shadow the ministry or no?
Yes, I am. Well, I'm also the person who shadows the Division of Tourism
Right.
as
Okay,
well as
right.
part of our responsibility.
Good. And as the shadow minister, well, as the shadow secretary, I could probably say, I know that you had some concerns about the recent visit that the 10-member delegation would have taken to Grenada. And I know one of the things that the chief secretary was saying was that it was really to pair or to twin Grenada with Tobago. And so I'm wondering exactly what are some of the concerns that you would have had with the visit?
Well, let me say off the bat, we welcome the idea of a Tobago Carnival. In fact, that idea was birthed by the last administration. A lot of work was put into it. And what we envisioned was a collaborative approach with the National Carnival Commission. However, we are seeing this PDP administration, really pushing an agenda of division. And you're seeing a strategy where a trip was taken to Grenada without any clear plans. There, in fact, at the time, we had not yet learned of the schedule. We had not yet learned as to what exactly would this carnival be. And I am saying, if we are to have a carnival, and Trinidad being the mecca of carnival, then charity begins at home and ends abroad. So therefore, we should be collaborating with our partner, with our National Carnival Commission. And also, what you're leaving in Trinidad is over 1.3 million people to go to Grenada, which is only about roughly 100,000 persons. So we were concerned about the strategy. We are also concerned about the cost because we believe that money could have been used to develop the capacities of our mass band leaders, our artists, and our steel pan players.
Right. And Mr. Morris, earlier in your comments, you would have mentioned something about division. How do you think it's causing a division? And can you give us some more explanation about that one?
So we would have seen played out in the national space the narrative by the PDP administration, including the Secretary of Tourism on the day of the launch, that they are ready to basically stand on their own when it comes to this carnival. And nothing is wrong with us as Tobagonians being proud people wanting to take the lead. But in my view, there are more to be gained by collaborating with the National Carnival Commission, which has the overarching responsibility for Carnival, both in Trinidad and Tobago. And rather than having this combative relationship where we are saying we do not want the Carnival Commission involved, because I could tell you at this point, this carnival does not have a competition and does not have a competitive feel to it. And what the stakeholders are saying to me is that they would want competition. In fact, the mass band leaders are hoping that they can have some competition because there are no incentive to participate. The Calypsonians and the soca artists, they were hopeful that we would have had a situation where the Calypso monarch of Tobago would be able to have an automatic place in the National Carnival Calypso competition in February. And likewise, the soca monarch winner would have been able to get an automatic place in the International Soca Monarch that happens in cases of Grenada and St. Lucia and St. Vincent. We see where their winners are automatically placed in the Soca Monarch competition in Trinidad. But because we are not having the collaboration and because we are not having any competition, none of these things can be realized.
Now, Mr. Morris, do you think it was done so that Tobago can have its own celebration and its own cultural expression, rather than branding it with the bigger cultural event that is known as Carnival? Do you think that is maybe the reason why it is they wanted to keep it separate and apart from everything else?
So, Kimberly, you're seeing they're saying that in one breath, but when you look at the schedule, if you peruse the schedule of events, there's nothing there that tells you or shows anything really unique about expressing Tobago's culture. What you have mainly is what goes for any usual carnival, any Trinidad type carnival, which is a lot of carnival events, a lot of fets. But when you come down to the actual day, you have what would happen in any normal carnival, a street parade. In fact, there's no carnival, no Dimash type event, which would allow you to showcase your natural heritage. So, in my view, I think a better approach would have been and could be going forward to look at how we merge our heritage with this carnival experience. Something like how Barbados merges their crop over with the carnival. So, you know, the crop over is out of their plantation sugarcane experience, and that is merged into an event that is a carnival type event. But when you call and when you say the name carnival, there's a kind of expectation that comes with it. And therefore, I've not seen anything different that would tell me that this event has something uniquely Tobago.
Hmm. And in terms of the timing of the event, do you think that October is a good time, or do you think it is sufficient time for Tobago to collaborate or partner itself with Trinidad, so that when the major festival comes along, there's that sort of collaboration that you're talking about?
Well, I think October is a good time because what it affords us is that as a national, as a country, we now have both basically the first main carnival event, which happens in February, and then we can boast of having also the final real carnival-like event, which occurs in October, coming out after Miami. And what I'm saying, perhaps going forward, seeing that Tobago also has a very rich and busy October, is perhaps we look at how we can probably reintegrate the Tobago heritage into this October festival. And this is what I believe would afford us something really unique and something that would provide, you know, that Tobago traditional element to come out.
Right. And in terms of the island's readiness to host the event, it is a few weeks away. I know that they have released the list of events. Do you think that Tobago is ready to host, you know, everybody who will be coming in and excited to see this cultural expression?
Well, I must say I must commend the young people for taking the lead thus far. I mean, we had concerns about the late marketing and promotion of the event, but the Tobago creatives are really to be commended. I am concerned, of course, that whether we have the capacity, and that is why I believe if we collaborate with our brothers and sisters in Trinidad who has the technical know-how and who would have, you know, started carnivals all over the world, I think it gives us a better chance. And I'm still calling on the THA at this time to utilize the resources, both resident within the National Carnival Commission and within our various bands, like you have Dion Atkins from Tribe and all those different entities that can help us in adding value to our experience here. Because the point is, people will come, but we want to ensure and we must ensure that when they come, they get an experience that is life lasting and long lasting, and would want them to come back.
Right. Now, there was something that you mentioned earlier, Mr. Morris, when you were saying that there's a way that maybe you want to partner the Heritage Festival, of course, with the Carnival. But don't you want them to stay as two separate events so that people can, maybe the Tobago Heritage Festival is the cultural aspect, and then the Carnival in October might be the more fete associated one that's similar to Trinidad?
So it is not to disband the heritage, but there are elements of the heritage perhaps that can be transferred into the carnival. Because if you look at the launch, you would see the phrase where we are really marrying the traditional with the contemporary. And I'm saying at this point, based on the schedule, there aren't any real activities that would suggest that we are really showcasing the traditional, because outside of the fetes, outside of the street parade, I have not seen an activity that suggests to me that you can come to an experience that would definitely showcase some of Tobago's unique heritage.
So, Mr. Morris, let's take an example. Is it that in October you would want to see a wedding ceremony, or would you want to see more of the traditional carnival characters? What exactly do you think is really going to bring out that cultural aspect of Tobago Carnival?
So Tobago has, as you know, a rich cultural heritage, and stuff like the speech band, stuff like there's some traditional characters that are uniquely Tobago, the Dwen, and all those folklores as well. I believe has a place in the carnival, and we can really, just like how in Trinidad you have the Kimberly riots, and you have that kind of experience that you can go and view. I've not seen anything in this current schedule that tells me you can come to an event and you will be able to witness the Tobago folklore, the Tobago heritage, the Tobago history in any real sense being played out in a carnival type atmosphere. So yes, I believe there are elements such as I said before, the speech band and that kind of thing that can be included to make the experience one that is truly unique.
Yeah. Mr. Morris, again, I know that the tourism sector, whether it be in Trinidad or in Tobago, they normally take cultural contingents across the world to showcase our carnival, to get investments and that sort of thing. So I'm just wondering, you know, how is it that there might be an issue with this visit that happened to Grenada as opposed to the other ones that we usually have throughout the year?
So our challenge with the Grenada trip is that it lacked any cohesion. It was not in keeping with any strategic direction, because one of the challenges, and what I would have said as well in terms of Grenada, as it stands right now, we do not have any direct flights out of Grenada. So even if, let's say, you were able to have interest, there's no direct way of persons from Grenada getting to Tobago. Yes, there have been talk of a chartered ferry, but that in itself is quite far in terms of planning. And I'm saying you had Barbados. There's actually a flight out of Barbados directly into Tobago, and we weren't present at Capova. We have a flight in New York that comes directly into Tobago, but yet there has not been any real advertising there. And then, of course, our main source market is in UK. So I'm saying you really need to have some focus. And because there wasn't any focus when you look at the contingent and there weren't any real schedule, one of the challenges we're having with bringing out the traditional aspect of the carnival is because there's a lack of incentive. So, you know, usually if you're having competition and you have those traditional characters, persons will participate in specific categories to win those traditional areas. But because this carnival is one that is profit-based, no person is going to take up on their own to really create these traditional characters and so forth. So I am saying that some of the planning and the real taking shape of what this carnival would be is one that has me very concerned. The stakeholders are very concerned because even as we speak, the mass band leaders are clamoring for some kind of support. They were promised some training and development that never occurred, and they were also promised some incentives to be able to create their mass, and that also has not yet come to fruition. So at this point, I believe the focus of the planners, the organizing committee, is quite curious and quite concerning, because while we were able to find money to go to Grenada to have a good time, we have the stakeholders who are on the ground who are supposed to make this event, truly a success. They are clamoring for support, which has not yet come.
Right. And Mr. Morris, I mean, apart from all the issues that you would have discussed and the challenges, do you still see it being a sort of revenue earner for the island come October?
Of course, carnivals, is one of those areas that stimulate tourism arrivals and really be able to stimulate the tourism industry, because you're talking about place to stay, transportation, food, and it touches a wide, diverse amount of stakeholders, and therefore we believe that even the previous administration believed this is one of the ways that we would truly be able to capture, a large influx of visitors into Tobago, while at the same time creating a festival that would have lifelong, expressions and experience, and be able to have repeat visitors as well. One of the things, I believe as well, in terms of looking at this carnival and what this carnival means to Tobago, it also affords us an opportunity to have brand Tobago marketed to the world in a way that, would reach diverse places, because carnival has a following throughout the world. There are persons who move from country to country just to experience carnival, and we are hoping that Tobago's carnival will be one of those must attend places going forward.
Of course. And Mr. Morris, finally, before we wrap, anything else you want to add quickly?
Well, simply to say that, as we are on the topic of carnival, I am hopeful that we'll be able to pull together the planning, because you don't want your first experience to be one that people came, but they did not enjoy themselves. So going forward, I would really hope that we would utilize the resources that is available in Trinidad, utilize all the capacities there, and be able to have a showcase that would be memorable.
Well, Mr. Morris, let me thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we do appreciate your thoughts, and I wish Tobago all the best for the carnival that's coming up in October.
We hope to see you, Kimberly, and thank you for having me.
Now, if that's a personal invitation, Mr. Morris, I will be there. I am coming.
Yes, feel free to come over and bring your whole crew.
I will. Have a good one. And that was Mr. Kelvon Morris, the THA Minority Leader and the Shadow Secretary for the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transport. You're on the Now Morning Show. We have so much more coming up. Stay with us.